You're listening to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, the go-to podcast for high performers. I'm Andrew Moses. Each week, you'll hear my thought-provoking conversations with Olympians, pro athletes, CEOs, elite coaches, best-selling authors, and other high performers to uncover their secrets to success. Get ready to be inspired each week when we talk about leadership, teamwork, work ethic, and more. Are you ready? Let's go. This week, my guest is Washington Commanders star Charles Leno Jr. In January, Charles made his 127th consecutive regular season NFL start. Now, consistency like that is a rarity anywhere these days, let alone in the NFL, where injuries and ever-changing rosters make starting that many consecutive games seem like a near impossible task. But as you'll hear in our conversation, Charles has an extraordinary work ethic, dedication to his craft, and spends countless hours keeping himself in shape physically and mentally to navigate the grind of an NFL season. And in addition to always being there for his teammates on the field, Charles is also a consistent presence off the field in the local community. He and his wife Jennifer run their own nonprofit called Beyond the Entertainer, an organization dedicated to mentoring, empowering, and inspiring the community. Beyond the Entertainer is active in many different causes throughout the year, and their annual Leno Clause program, where they support 20 different local organizations from December 1st to December 20th every year, is always a big hit. Some recent examples of Leno Clause programs include donating 7,200 meals to tackle hunger, sending a truckload of toys to kids in need, hosting a bingo night at a local shelter, and so much more. For his efforts, Charles was named a 2022 nominee for the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. Considered the NFL's most prestigious honor, the award recognizes NFL players for outstanding community service as well as excellence on the field. Charles and I recently sat down to explore the success secrets that have made him one of the NFL's most effective and consistent offensive tackles. We also dove deep into the powerful work he does off the field and why it means so much to him. This conversation is filled with lessons on how to build a winning mindset, show up consistently, improve communication, and go above and beyond what's expected of you. I can't wait for you to hear my conversation with Charles. So, let's pull the tarp and get straight to Washington Commanders star Charles Leno Jr. Welcome to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, Charles.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you, Charles. Where I want to begin, in January, you started in your 127th consecutive regular season NFL game. Last season, you played 100% of the Washington Commanders snaps. What do you credit most for your consistency and resilience over such an extended period of time?
I went back and forth for years on this. I mean, first and foremost, I always have to point it out. It's a little luck. Let's just be real. This is a dangerous sport we're playing. Guys, bodies flying all over the place. It takes a little luck because anything can happen to anybody. But for me, I would credit my routine and how I just prepare and take care of myself. I'm a very routine-oriented guy. For me, I do the same thing over and over again, almost eat the same thing over and again for every week. So it kind of helps me get into that groove of getting into a game and taking care of my body and do what I need to do to be successful in the field. I'm always taking care of myself off the field.
Charles, that's something that I've been exploring personally more recently to try and create more organization and routine in my life, both personally and professionally. I'm curious, when you talk about building routines, what are some examples? Like, how do you start your day? How do you get ready for workouts? How do you get ready for practice? How do you wrap up a practice? Like, let's talk about that for a little bit. I'm really curious.
Yeah, so right now, I don't have a routine because it's off season. So let me go back into season. I got a small routine in the off season. Mostly deals with my girls, getting them up in the morning, dress, feed, take them to school, all that. But for the season, something I do is every morning, I'm in the morning working on my body. Well, I wake up pretty early because I got to get in before meetings start. So I get up pretty early. First, I'm doing some type of meditation, some type of calming, or I'm meditating or I'm jotting down some things. Something I started lately has been jotting down 3 things I want to get done for the day and just making sure I X those things off. and it's just keeping like tasks. That's something I've been doing recently. But in the season, like I said, wake up, meditate, then I'm headed to work. And then while I'm at work, I'm getting a workout in. And the workout doesn't have to be an extraneous workout. It's just a workout to get my body moving. I played 7 years in Chicago. So I met someone very, very, very kind and very smart and intelligent, more than me. And her name is Sarah Miranda. She was my massage therapist, more like body work therapist, because she wasn't just massage. She worked on the body and she understood the body very well. She told me something. It was a body in motion stays in motion. So I took that with me and I used that forever throughout my career. And I just try to keep my body moving. So when I'm up in the morning, instead of just sitting down in meetings with your hips tight and all that type of stuff, get a workout and get the blood flowing and get moving around. Because if your body's moving, it's going to continue to want to move. It's not want to be stuck. And when you want it to sprint, like athletes do, like, high performing athletes, it's going to be a little harder to get it going. So I like to keep it flowing and keep it moving. And I do that after practice as well, whether it's going in the weight room, getting a lift in afterwards or something like that. Later on in my career, I'm more on the recovery side than the actual, pushing myself always like I was when I was younger. But that's how you got to do it. You got to be able to learn how to adjust and flow with, and understand your body and be aware of that.
One of the things that's been really consistent that I've learned in conversations with so many of the Olympians and pro athletes that I've talked to, actually regardless of what folks are doing, any industry, that a lot of people can be really good when they're at their best. But what separates really elite performers in anything from good performers in anything is the ability to tap into something when you don't feel your best or you don't want to do it. And I'm curious, Charles, when you get out of a routine or on days that you feel less into the routine than maybe other days, how do you stay focused? How do you get back on track and moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, it's just that burning desire of wanting more for yourself. I always knew I wanted more. I'm a very prideful person. My grandfather is like my biggest inspiration. He passed away years ago, but just the Leno name that he carried and the respect that I had for him, I wanted to carry that name on. And that's something that I know has been a motivating factor for me to get up every day. And even if I don't feel like doing it, I want to be the best because I'm wearing this name on the back of my jersey, that I'm not only representing myself, but I'm representing something bigger than me. And I think that's something that a lot of athletes have, a lot of high performing people have. You got to be able to do something when you don't want to do it. And it has to be something bigger than you.
Charles, as we're talking, a lot of what I'm hearing is just the concept of being availability. I know that's something that you're very passionate about. I'm thinking back to a conversation I had a number of months ago with former NFL coach Herm Edwards. And Coach Herm Edwards said to me, when I was playing, Andrew, or when I was trying to come up as a coach, you eliminate 50% of the field by just being available every day.
Yep. And I know what he said. He probably said the best ability is availability.
The best ability is availability. I've got to capture that, Charles. The best ability is availability. How do you stay focused in the moment, right? There's a difference between being available and being present, right? I mean, you've got to be available and you've got to be present, kind of mind, physically, personal, professional. You can get yourself there physically. How have you been able to go about staying focused from a mental perspective and being present where you are, where your feet are, in other words?
Yeah, we talk about that. Coach Rivera talks about that a lot, actually. Be where your feet are. And, I'm glad that he says that because a lot of coaches don't get it. A lot of players don't get it. The most important time that you have in life is right now. So, for example, on this podcast, this is the most important time for me right now. This is where I'm at, and I'm 100% engaged. It gives you such a much more better experience going through life when you're doing that. I know, like, some of my favorite times right now is bath time with my girls. I'll look forward to that because that's the time that we get. I will never get that time back. So when I'm there, I'm 100% engaged. And it's a really difficult thing when you got, say, distractions outside of football, outside of work, or Or say you're in it, and what if a bad play happens? How do you, let that go and move forward? The most important thing is right now. I have a mental performance coach that I work with. In my past, I read books. One of my favorite books that I read in the past is The Power of Now. That helped me tremendously understand, like, right now is the most important moment. So if you're thinking about something in the future, or if you're dwelling on the past, you can only, react to it right now in the present. In the future, you can only impact that right now going forward. So always thinking about right now and just being where my feet are and making sure that I'm focusing on today and where I'm at right now, because that's the best experience I'm going to get.
Charles, I'm curious, just continuing that thought. If there's a moment that you find yourself kind of looking to the past, or frustrated about a play, or frustrated by a call a referee made, or thinking about something off field while you're on the field, is there something that your mental performance coach taught you, or that you've learned from the books you've kind of devoured to make that shift? Like, is there something that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking about it, before every game, I meditate and I get into my awareness mode of where I want to be, where my feet are. And I do something where I stare at the hash. So on the football field, you got hashes going all the way down from the 1 yard line all the way down to the other goal line. And that's somewhere I'm always on the hash. I'm an offensive lineman. I'm not always out on the numbers like receivers. Hopefully I will one day. Coming up soon. Hopefully EB got something for me. But, I'm always around the hash. And I do something where I just stare at the hash and I'm just, breathing in. I'm just getting my mindset and locked in on that hash, because that's something I'm going to see going into every play. So I can forget what just happened the last play if I had a bad play. A bad play happens, move on once I get back out there on the field, or if I'm already out there on the field, just make sure I look at the hash, because that's going to reset my brain to know, like, this is the present moment that I'm focusing on.
It's really interesting, Charles, that you talk about the hash and just looking at the hash and kind of resetting. I recently had a conversation with former MLB catcher Ryan Lavarnway. Now, he played he played Major League Baseball for parts of 10 different seasons. And I asked him a question about going from catcher to hitter, right? Like, one of the things I was curious about was, if you have a bad at bat, or you strike out, or you get a terrible call from the ump, now you've got to go back out into the field and you've got to call the game. You've got to be locked in with your pitcher. You've got that relationship working with your pitcher. How do you kind of disconnect the two, like your role as a hitter and your role as the catcher? And he said, for example, there were many years he did not hit very well, but he considered himself a very good pitch caller, very good defensive catcher. And what he told me was, he said, just the act for 15, 20 seconds of putting the catcher's gear back on kind of shifted his persona. Like, he went from hitter to catcher. Yeah. Two different people. And he was able to kind of wall off everything going on the other side of the other persona. And it's really stuck with me. And I've been thinking about, where in my life can I put the catcher's gear on or take the catcher's gear off to try and make better transitions? Like you, I've got little kids and a busy work life and lots going on. And just, I want to be more present in more moments. And I've been thinking a lot about that. So I'm curious, just shifting the conversation down the line a little bit, Charles. So many of us watch football and we watch the offensive line, and everybody thinks, everybody on Twitter thinks they've got an opinion of how you all can do things better sometime. But I'm wondering, what are some of the little things from your vantage point that go into having a successful O-line that maybe the average fan or person who tunes in for a few minutes watching a game doesn't necessarily understand?
Yeah, I would say one of the things a big thing is continuity. Having the guys play together, for the whole season is very rare. There's always injuries. There's always something that happens where, the starting five that you go out there with, your best starting five, might not finish that season completely. And if you look at the teams that I think were deep runs in the Super Bowl and all that, they come out pretty good on the offensive side of the ball, offensive line side of the ball, with, for the most majority of their players intact. And that contributes a lot to success. So I would say continuity is huge, because say I'm working with a guy for all of training camp and all of the first 5-6 games of the year, that's a lot of time and a lot of hours that we put in together. If you put somebody else in it's just not going to be seamless. It just doesn't work that way. You have to put in the work to get it that way. Sometimes, I know guys in the past that I work with, we can just go out there and not talk the whole game. And we're talking about a position where it is chaos at all times, people moving all over the place. You have to communicate. They talk about that. But I played with him for so long that I just knew what he was going to do. He knew what I was going to do. We didn't have to say a word. We only have to say a word every once in a while. So that right there is a big deal when it comes to offensive line play that I know a lot of fans don't really understand.
Are you looking in those instances? You obviously get to know people really well. Are you just learning body language? Or you just know their patterns and what they do? What type of stuff are you picking up just from that long-term relationship?
Yeah, you pick up everything. I can tell by, playing with some guys, I can tell how they felt walking into work just because I've been around with them for so long. And they can tell how I feel walking into work. And it's just the body language, it's the demeanors, it's the way that, I don't know, it's a hard thing like to explain, but if you're there, you just get it. I remember one game in Chicago, one of my left guard who was playing with me, he knew the center wasn't going to snap the ball. I didn't know. I'm a little further away. And I was like, how did you know? He was like, I could just tell. I know how he was going. I know he wasn't going to snap it. And I was just like, that's pretty good. Like, that just let me know that he's in tune and he's keyed in on what his partner's going to do. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, the offensive line just gels really well together. When you just spend that many hours with each other, you just kind of pick up and kind of know like what people's habits and routines are.
It's just so fascinating, Charles. But when things don't go as planned, like they never do, right? Like like you said, you never start with the same group that you finish with. There's always injuries. There's adversity. There's things that pop up. While it's not seamless, what are some of the things that you do to try and make it as seamless as possible as you're onboarding a new teammate?
Yeah, it's all about reps, especially in our game. The more reps we can get, the better. There's some games where I play with guys and we only have walkthrough reps. But in those reps, you got to tell him, and he has to tell me what he likes, what he doesn't like. And I have to tell him the same. Or on this certain look, this is what we're going to do. So that's the only way you can make it that way, seamless. You got to have those reps. You got to be in constant communication. That's where most of the communication comes from, through the Monday and Saturday leading up into the game. The time where people think we don't work, they only think we work on Sundays. So, the time where people think we don't work, the Monday through to Saturday.
Well, that's probably Monday through Saturday is the time when you're working the hardest, in my opinion, right? I mean, I think people get it all wrong. Another, I guess, important aspect to dig into here is you've got a new offensive coordinator coming in. How does that affect things?
Well, for the team, it affects things a lot. For our team as a whole, this is something completely new, especially for guys that have been here for 3 years, dealing with our whole offensive coordinator. You're going to have to learn something completely new. This is going to be foreign. It's going to take some time to get adjusted to. This is going to be a big learning process. But for me, thankfully, being 10-year vet, been in every single offense that you can think of, I actually know what's coming. I actually know the plays already. It's not far removed from me. So that is a blessing with having all the different offensive line coaches and coordinators and all that type of stuff in my career. So I was very fortunate. Unfortunate to be fortunate, It's unfortunate to have all those different changes, but it's fortunate looking back on it now.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Lots of change and transition, but it certainly prepares you better when change and transition comes again. And in anything, sports, business, entertainment, life, the only constant is change. That's one of the things I like to tell people, right? I'm curious, you alluded to it there. You've been in the league a long time. You've got a lot of experience. When you think back on it, is there something early in your career that you worried a lot about that you just wish you hadn't worried so much about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Something that I was worried about that I wish I didn't. I would say the one thing that I worried about early on in my career was a bad play. Like thinking like the bad play is just going to get me cut, get me fired and all that. It can, but I was focused too much on it earlier in my career until I let that go and I actually played with more confidence. Because when you worry about a bad play, you don't take risks, you don't take chances, you don't play up to your ability. And when I finally got over that, it was able to help me grow performance-wise because I was more confident. I went out there and I said, I'm going to do this and they have to stop me. I'm not going to react to them. And I think that's a big thing that helped me in my game when I was younger.
Was there like a moment you remember it clicked? Just that, hey, I've got to be more confident. I've got to start playing to win, not to lose. Like how, or was there something a mental skills coach said to you, another coach said to you, a mentor, a friend? Like when did it click?
Yeah, it definitely clicked 2017. I had a new offensive line coach come in. And I remember him telling me something. He actually is the defensive line coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jeremiah Washburn. So he went to the dark side on me. But yeah, he told me something that really stuck with me. He said, play your game. And I just kind of nodded. And I was like, what? Just kind of asked him what he mean by that. And he's like, play your game. Your game, do things on your terms. And it kind of made me realize if I do these things on my terms and I set the way I want to do, and I use my hands the way I want to use my hands, and I play the game on my terms, it gives me so much more confidence in myself because I know what I'm going to do, and I just go out there and do it. And once you do it, that gives you confidence. And when you see it happening and developing on the field, that's just even more boost of confidence. That's moments of certainty. So right then and there, that helped me out tremendously.
So is it fair to say that you're spending more time kind of focused on yourself as opposed to focusing on the opponent, or is it a combination?
1,000%. I am well more. I do my study on my opponent. Don't get it twisted. Throughout the week, when I have the game plan and we need to understand and learn our opponent, I do a ton of study on my opponent. But the most important work that you're going to do is on yourself. You need to be able to self-evaluate. You need to be able to self-scout, see the things that the defenders are going to be looking at. I know I look at myself sometimes. I might change something in my stance later, midway through the year, because I know the defenders got to beat on it because I see it. If I see it, I know they see it. So I'm always scouting myself, always trying to advance myself because, like you said, constant change, you know what I mean? Constant change can create constant growth, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Was there a point in your career where you felt like the self-awareness really improved, or was the self-awareness just something that you were born with?
I don't know. I think I was more aware of how self-aware I was later on in my career. I knew I was an aware person, but I just didn't know. I didn't really pinpoint. I'm always an observer at first, and once I get something, then I can advance. But I always kind of just take a back seat. I listen very well. I observe. I take everything in, and then when I need to act upon it, I go ahead and act upon it. And I think that is self-awareness. And for me, it took me a while to understand I'm really good at that. And I know I've been good at that for a majority of my life. Now I can connect the dots going backwards, but back then I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. I just thought I was just lucky. But now looking back, I know I'm very aware and in tune with who I am and, what the vision for myself, especially in terms of football and advancing and moving forward and development, I would say.
There's no question that you are excellent at taking action, and you don't only take action on the field, you take action in the community to help those around you. Charles, I'm just so impressed by your story in that regard, off the field as well, the work that you and your wife Jennifer do with your nonprofit, Beyond the Entertainer. You were the Commanders' 2022 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year nominee, an incredible honor. And I ran across something that you said, and it just struck me as so powerful. You said, in life, I believe you are not defined by what you accomplish, but by what you do for others. And I'm wondering, Charles, is that something that was instilled in you at an early age? Is that a mindset you developed over time? Where did that that approach to life come from? Because it's something that we could all benefit from thinking about more.
Yeah, that was something that I learned at a young age. Like I said, my grandfather, I didn't know how big time he was. When he passed away and the amount of people, you hang out with your grandpa, it's you and him, we cutting lawn, we're doing all this stuff together, taking me out to places and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, this is grandpa, that's who he is. But when I went to his funeral and I saw the amount of people that was there, the amount of people he impacted, that let me know at a young age the type of man he was. And for me, I said, like I said, that's my hero. Like I looked up to him. I want to be him. I want to be grandpa. But my grandmother told me the amount of lives he touched was based off the things that he done for people. It wasn't out of, because he wanted something back. He just done it out of the kindness of his heart. And when I got into the NFL, I met my wife in Chicago. She had that in her as well. And that lit the fire back up in me. And then we worked together on giving back. And, that's something that we take pride in. We love to do things for others. It's all about others. If you do more for others, good things happen for everyone. It's not about me. It's bigger than me. I don't know. I always say I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm here, why I'm in this position, but while I'm here, I'm going to use it and shine some light on some good things and good people across the world. And I hope they do the same.
Your nonprofit that you and Jennifer launched is called Beyond the Entertainer. It's something that really kind of resonated with me right off the bat, because so much of what I'm passionate about is kind of double clicking below the surface and trying to understand what motivates people, what inspires them, what brings them passion. And that's largely what you're doing with Beyond the Entertainer. You're trying to make a huge impact on community, but you're also trying to celebrate the fact that entertainers and athletes, who are obviously entertainers in some regard, are so much bigger than that. Was there a story in particular that resonated with you that led you to kind of this Beyond the Entertainer concept and that mantra?
Yeah, I would say it wasn't a story. It was just something me and my wife was talking about one day. I was telling her, I want a mentorship, or I want to create an environment where you have young athletes who want to be in the NBA, NFL, these professional leagues. They want to make it there. And at the end of the day, it's more a reality check that not everybody's going to make it there. But there's still something beyond the entertainer. There's something in the background, every single athlete. So for me, I just named off 2 people just now that had an impact on my life. Was Sarah Moreno, who was my bodywork therapist and my offensive line coach. There's other things behind just the athlete. So you can do something beyond the entertainer, whether that's in athletics or that could be in podcasting, that can be in music, that can be in movies. There's other things beyond it. And I don't want, especially Black and brown kids from my area in Oakland, California, to think it's NFL or bust. It's NBA or bust. I won't be anything unless I do this. No, you can still continue and work in your passion, but just always remember that not everybody's going to make it. Just look at the percentages. I didn't get here, just by luck of the draw. Like it takes it's a long process. It's a hard process to get here. And just not everybody's going to make it. There can be an injury that's involved. There can be so many different things that's involved on why you don't make it. But if you still have that passion, if you still have that motivation, that you can definitely make it in the entertainment industry. Just think beyond it. Don't think just the main thing.
Think beyond it. I'm curious, Charles, what advice do you have for people who are trying to figure out if they're passionate about something that they're doing, or if they're trying to find a new passion? How do you go about finding your passion?
One thing I learned is challenge yourself. This is going to be crazy when I tell the story, but I didn't like football. Didn't like it. I was like, I'm a basketball player. My dad had Raiders tickets. I went to Raider games all the time. I love the atmosphere and all that type of stuff about football. But playing, I was like, no, I'm a basketball player. That's what I do. This is what I'm going to do and only going to do. And one of my former teammates in high school football, he was in my class, but I wasn't playing at the time. He was like, you need to come off football. I was like, I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing that. He's like, no, you got to look at your size, look at this. Like, you could be really good at football. I was like, all right, I'll think about it. A year goes by. It's my sophomore year. I was like, I'm going to just try it out. And I remember trying it out for the first time during the winter workouts. I couldn't do a push-up. So I remember getting in the ground, trying to do a push-up, and it was an embarrassing, motivating moment for me. Very embarrassing at the time because everybody's waiting on me to do this push-up. We're doing like suicides in the gym, and you got to do push-ups and run and push-ups and run and stuff like this. And it was embarrassing. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get up. And I remember looking at my coach, Coach Boone. He was like, he just gave me this look. And it was just like, you see, you going to do it or you not? Like, how bad do you want it? And I finally did it. And ever since then, I was like, this is challenging, but I like that. And I was like, I want more of that. I want to keep doing this because it's challenging me. It's pushing me in ways that I never were able to be pushed. And we go out there for a workout again and outside, and we're doing sleds and we're doing all the running drills and stuff like that. I was dying. I was tired, but kept pushing myself. So just push yourself past that comfort zone. Whatever makes you comfortable. I don't look at like what's comfortable passion. You know what I mean? Like that's something I want to pursue. Nobody should ever want to pursue comfort. Always try to push yourself and find that first. And then that will lead to something down the line. A challenge will lead to something that's bigger than what you think is your passion or if it's comfortable.
Pushing. That is such an important lesson that all of us can learn from Charles. I have enjoyed our conversation a ton. I can't wait to see where you continue to take your career on the field and the massive impact that you continue to have off the field. And we'll have to catch up again soon and hear about how everything's going at Beyond the Entertainer. And we'll obviously follow your career on the field. Thank you so much, Charles, for spending a few minutes with me. I've learned a ton, and I know everybody listening has as well. So keep pulling the tarp. You are a tarp puller on the field and off the field, and you're forever part of the Tarp Puller Club here on this show. So thank you for everything, and we'll have to catch up again soon. All right, Charles?
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining me this week. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes. And if you are like me and want a world full of tarp pullers, then leave a review to help others find us. You can also follow me on Twitter at Andrew H. Moses. That's Andrew H. Moses. And be sure to sign up for my email newsletter at everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter. I'll share tips and insights to help you achieve maximum success and happiness. Today is a great day to pull the tarp. I am rooting for you. See you next time.